This has changed. No! Huh? No! In today's video, we're finally coming back to our custom Minecraft mod pack, Paleontology Beyond. After a long wait and off-camera grinding, I've got some new and improved items to show off. But hey, the voices, they're still here. I think it's the subscribe and like button. Please, viewer, please, oh please, click me. I'll do anything. Well, you heard them. Let's just get on with the video. No! It has been 1008 days since I've uploaded on this series, and you thought my Togsky Steiner mod pack upload schedule was bad. But anyway, I'm back and I've got a burst of motivation for the Paleontology Beyond mod. So I started working on this mod actually about a week ago, and I'm not going to show you, I'm going to blur all this out, but I've added quite a few more items. I wasn't originally going to record on this series again because I thought it wasn't my best series, but do you know what? Why not? I may as well show off all the progress that I'm making. So as you may have noticed with this villager, he no longer is a paleontologist. He does not get a workbench station, whatever. Our custom villager no longer works. I have updated this mod last week from 1.18.2 to 1.21. And that's pretty much why all these blocks disappeared. I mean, this wasn't here, that wasn't there, this wasn't here. Anything that I modded in was gone. And that's because I actually changed the ID, that's the wrong number. I changed the It's because I changed the ID of my mod from PB to Paleontology Beyond. PB isn't cutting it, and it actually is wrong, so I fixed that. That's one thing I did. And as you may notice here, it's got an epic rarity and it's purple. I did a bit of experimentation. I think I might remove it though. For instance, Amber has a rarity now. For those that have played Hypixel Skyblock, I used that rarity system and I completely added it into the whole game. It doesn't really work for blocks at the minute, but I thought I was making something cool, but then I realized I want this to be a vanilla-like mod pack. And for instance, if you have something like this that's purple and epic, it just doesn't look like a vanilla item. Its texture does, its texture does, but it just doesn't look the same next to a regular block. So no need to worry about that, I'm going to get rid of that, but I want to show you the progress I've made in the past week, and the changes I've made and what needs to be done. The series is so back. So since the last video, you've seen the trough. I don't think I ever made this work, but it definitely doesn't work now. The paleontologist workbench, it doesn't have a use at the minute, but it will. I actually have an idea for it. The fossil block, I'm pretty sure this has changed texture. It used to be quite white, but now it's beige. Amber's the same, deep slate amber's the same, and same for the bundle of fibrous leaves and the cube of raw meat. The fibrous leaves are still the same, however, I'm not sure if they still drop from leaves. Let's give it a go. Didn't see any. Didn't see any. And didn't see any. I'm just going to say it doesn't work anymore. We have the fossilized remains, which I think is the same since last video. We have the amber cane, which is the same, which also rhymes, those who know. And finally we have the two ambers, which I've actually changed a little bit. Originally we had amber here with the insect inside and clean amber. And my idea was every single time you broke amber, you would get an insect with amber, you'd extract it, and you'd get clean amber in return. But I have the idea now, I think I want to make amber a little bit more rare, or in this case, amber preserved insect. I want to change that name because that isn't the best, in my opinion. It kind of makes the item sound like it's based around an insect rather than amber, but it's a temporary one just for now. My idea is at the minute you'll break amber and 9 times out of 10 you will get clean amber, which is also known as amber. And 1 time out of 10 you'll get a special amber preserved insect. So I've did that change to those two. However, just regular amber still makes the amber cane, and I'm thinking I want to make the amber cane recipe a little bit trickier. So instead of it being a simple recipe like this, maybe it could be like a stack or something, because I think in this mod pack amber is going to become quite common. But just while we're on recipes, I did add the JEI configuration back in so we can see recipes for a lot of items. But these items I'm talking about you guys have not seen yet, so let me do a quick showcase of what I worked on the past week. So I have a mystical shulker box behind me, and what does it have in it? Well, my new idea. I finally found it. So I made this right here, which is a plushie, a Stegosaurus plushie, if you can't tell. It was an attempt of me making an entity, but it looked really dumb, and I thought it looks like a plushie. So that really started off this grand idea. Well, I thought plushie should be added into the game, and the idea would be you get a DNA from a dinosaur. For instance, in this case, a Stegosaurus DNA. Ignore the texture. Also a little sneak peek of to come. And you would put it in a block known as the plushie maker, or something like that, the plushie factory, with some wool, and it would make a plushie. And it would just do nothing. It was just a decorative item that you could place down. I thought, what if you're using an expensive item, right? So it should have a good use. So I had the idea to make plushies. 10 to be precise, and I'll show you them now. Bang! I know you're probably thinking they are a lot worse than you're imagining. I had to do a quick speed art for each of these because, as I'll show, there are a lot of them, and texturing has probably not really been my forte, as you can tell from these blocks. These are all placeholder blocks, except maybe the ember. But each dinosaur, I made its own model, and I will show this off on my pixel art software. So here in Sprite, we can see my incredibly goofy dinosaurs. We have the Ankylosaurus, the Brachiosaurus, the Dilophosaurus, who I think is pretty cool, the Gallimimus with a huge leg, Parasaurolophus, who just look evil, and the fat Spinosaurus, the original Stegosaurus, which has changed now, this terrible T-Rex, the Triceratops, who actually I think looks relatively decent out of all of them, and then the Velociraptor finally. So we have all of these, in the game here, and each of them has their own special stat. But before I explain these stats, we need to look at another new item. My thinking process was, if we're going to have 10 plushies, we can't just keep them all in our inventory, right? We're going to have a place to hold them. Enter the plushie sack. A dimensionally transcendental sack able to wield the power of all dinosaur plushies. This sack only allows one of each plushie. Current bonus, none. So again, it's got that Hypixel Skyblock looking aspect to it, which will be changed. But this sack, supposedly, I wanted to make it so you can right click it and open it and put all your plushies in. So, how about we give it a go? Open it up, and the GUI is perfect there with our grayed out temporary icons or PNGs, and they actually show us what each stat does. So if we put our Brachiosaurus in there, we actually can notice the sack gives us plus 10 health. If we take it out, we have none, and actually, as you notice there, plus 10 health equals one whole heart. So we now have an extra heart at the bottom there. Take it out, and that heart is gone. And this works for everything. So we have the Dilophosaurus, Magic Find, again this is like the luck potion in Minecraft, which currently gives you luck 1. T-Rex gives you strength 1, and Velociraptor, well, this is actually one of my favorite features. If we get a sword real quick, a diamond sword, and let's say a sheep spawn egg, sheep die in 2 hits with a diamond sword. And I just showed off the mod. They die in 2 hits. So there's number 1, there's number 2. But with ferocity, which I added, it gives a 10% chance for you to deal double damage. So here, that's only 1, that's only 1. Notice how I'm hitting them twice, but 1 in 10 chance it will proc, and there, just like that. It died in 1 hit because the double hit worked, which I think is an absolutely awesome feature. And in fact, that actually happened in 1, 3, 11 sheep. So we were in odds there. So next we have the Ankylosaurus, his knockback resistance, which does what it says on the tin. The Stegosaurus plushie. Now I did do a little experiment to see what that would look like if I actually textured it. It looks wrong, and I think it's because it's 16x, but again I'm going to have to replace all these, and I think it's the tail. So if you can see, the tail goes out, and I think it looks weird that it's all jumbled. I think the tail should sort of be inwards, so it's like one big circle rather than this circle with a long tail. It's tricky to get your head around, but we'll do it at some point. But anyway, armor toughness, which is like an extra armor bar when we were to have an armor. The Triceratops is extra defense, does what it says on the tin. Regeneration from the Parasaurolophus. Attack speed, so that's just this. And then this is the cool part. The Gallimimus is extra speed, but watch as we put the final plushie in. Woo! It gives us a cool particle, and the plushie sack, it actually changes rarity, which again it won't be implemented, so forget about that. But I will be keeping it changes texture to a more golder plushie item. So as we can see, it's brown. When we put the final plushie in, it turns properly gold. And I absolutely love the particle explosion. I mean, quite personally, I can just sit here all day and I can spam this. And I have, when I made this a couple of days ago. I'm pretty sure I spent 20 minutes doing that. But I want it to be like firework particles, different colors. As you can see, there's like soul campfire, there's torch, there's like a crit and a totem of undying. I can only make the particles white as of right now, but it doesn't stop the fact that it's super cool. And it's snowing. So let's keep a little record up here of a full plushie sack and a regular plushie sack. And yes, it says plush, and yes, it says plush, but in gold. Speaking of the plushie sack, we can also look at our advancements tab. We have a plushies advancement, which is enrich or obtain a dinosaur plushie. Enrich is a placeholder word, because I'm not sure how we're going to make them just yet. And the collection begins, craft a plushie sack. I ideally want to make an advancement, which is fill up a plushie sack, because personally I'm actually quite a firm believer that games need to have a good amount of advancements. I don't know about you as a viewer, but whenever I'm playing a game or a mod pack and I see something shiny come up in the bottom left of my screen, I'm like, oh yay, I want to play more, it's fun, yay. But you there viewer, yes you, I can hear you through the screen asking, how do we make plushies? Well, I have a temporary idea for how we can do that, and that involves plushie fabric, plushie stuffing, and plushie thread. Here's a little rule for you kid modders out there: when you're making a texture, even a temporary one, don't make them out of grey, because you really cannot see them. Also, I'm afraid I'm going to have to turn the snow off. These textures here look absolutely fine in item frames, but if we open up our inventory, they're just pretty much invisible. So we have the thread, which is a bit like a needle with some thread there, temporary. We have this patchy sort of fabric. I really like this, so I'm going to keep this texture, or the idea of it, and make it better at some point. And the stuffing, which is just like that. So when we finally combine all of them together, we put 4 thread in each corner and surround it with fabric, with stuffing in the middle. That makes the plushie template. And with plushies, that's about as far as I got within the past week. But there's a couple items and blocks I need to show off from 2 years ago. The most finished ones being the omnivorous diet, or omnivore mush. Still need some work, but we have 2 items here. It's a bit like the bundle of fibrous leaves and the cube of raw meat, except for omnivores. We do have a recipe here, so it's used with 1 bundle of fibrous leaves and a cube of raw meat, and you get 2 in return. And how you make the actual omnivore diet is with any meat with fibrous leaves. So we can actually add this block to this bizarre funky looking house, like so, and it's looking even better, and those 2 can be marked as completed. Now earlier I also showed off a sneak peek of these 2 pieces of DNA. Again, these are placeholder textures, but they do have a purpose in my mind. We have 3 blocks. Number 1, the plushie maker. Now I googled plushie maker, and this was the first thing that showed up non-Minecraft wise, and I turned it into a Minecraft block. The texture of this does not work as it broke when I updated, but the idea is we grab our plushie template and we put it in along with the Stegosaurus DNA, and out comes a Stegosaurus plushie, and that'll be the same with all of them. So it's going to be an expensive recipe for a plushie template, as well as the rare luck you get from getting DNA from rare amber preserved insect I should say. So overall it is quite tricky to get this plushie, and that'll be the same for all plushies. That was the purpose of that block. We can now look at the DNA incubator, which again, texture did not work when I transferred. Would it surprise you when I said I searched up DNA incubator and that's the first thing that showed up? So I turned the real life picture into pixel art, and the purpose of the DNA incubator is you put in a DNA and something else, and out would come an egg. So in this case we put in an Ankylosaurus DNA, and out would come an Ankylosaurus egg, which used to have a texture. Fun fact, didn't work. That's what the DNA incubator does. But finally we have the DNA extractor, and it doesn't work. Surprise, surprise. And here's the texture. Again, I searched DNA extractor on Google and I turned it into a Minecraft block. But what does it do? It actually has a new purpose. So its original purpose would be you would put in fossilized remains and out would come out DNA. But I don't like that idea anymore. I think the only thing you should be able to extract is not fossils. I think it should only be amber preserved insects. So you put that in there and out would come a very low chance of getting a DNA. There's a chance you could also get like farm animal DNA, because the mosquitoes back in those times also love to suck on the blood of animals that are still non-extinct. I think getting DNA out of fossilized remains is just not going to cut it for this mod. I don't think it's realistic enough. Putting just a quick pin in that, we can also see this final item, the green steel ingot, which I actually cannot remember making, genuinely. But I made a texture for it, so it exists in the game for some reason. I think I'll get rid of it because it's got no use. I might have just been experimenting. But back to the pin, fossilized remains. What are we going to do with them if we can't get DNA out of them? Here's my idea. Hello, handsome. This is the paleontologist's workbench. Its original purpose was for a villager to see it and become a paleontologist, and I think that's still the case. However, I want it to double up with a purpose for the fossilized remains. I think we should make a fossil dictionary machine or something like that. So temporarily, let's say this, because it's not going to have a texture anyway, and you put fossilized remains into there, and out comes any one of these 10 dinosaurs' bones. And let's say you need 7 bones, so you needed 2 leg bones, 2 arm bones, a skull, a spine, a tailbone, and all of those go into this GUI here. It would open up a GUI and you can put in all of the different bones you have. Out comes a full dinosaur skeleton. So when you take out this full dinosaur skeleton, it will do something similar to the plushie, possibly give a passive stat bonus. So in that case, I could make a fossil sack, or like a skeleton sack, or maybe like a pocket museum. Ooh, I actually really like that idea. A pocket museum which holds all of your fossils. each of them giving possibly another 10% stat boost. Oh, I really like that idea actually. So that's actually all of our items and blocks completely up to date. We are up to speed with the mod pack, and we can now start working on new things. Together, not on my own this time. But that can be starting on from next video, because I am ready to wrap it up for today. Before we end, however, I would like to show a thumbnail that I originally made 2 years ago. This was going to be for episode 4 of the Paleontology Beyond series. As you can see, there's the DNA extractor and plushie maker and whatnot. However, we didn't manage to finish the video in the end, but I didn't want this absolutely legendary thumbnail to never see the light of day, so you can all enjoy this. Maybe next episode we'll look into the fossilized remains and the fossils idea about turning that into the pocket museum. But yeah, I'm happy to wrap it up here. If you have any ideas about this mod pack, always make sure to put them in the description, and if I like it, I may, well, add it. At the end of the day, this mod will be for the community, and you guys are the community, so whatever you think's best, I will implement. But I have been Togski, this has been an absolute belter of a Paleontology Beyond modding video, and I will see you all later. Bye bye! I will get round to recording Togski's Dino mod pack.